Hello and welcome to this special edition of Talk Time. My guest today is the Director General of the Assam Rifles, Lt General P.C. Nair, PVSM, AVSM, YSM. General Nair is heading the Assam Rifles, which has a 190-year-old history in the Northeast and is the oldest paramilitary force in the country, and of course also one of the most decorated or the highest decorated paramilitary force in the country. General Nair, welcome to Talk Time.
Thank you, Wasbir. Thanks for having me over.
Pleasure is mine. You see, the Assam Rifles has a 190-year almost long history. It's the oldest paramilitary force in the country. It has got a 190-year-old history in the Northeast and is, of course, the highest decorated paramilitary force as well. Now, obviously, a lot of people would like to know, how do you feel commanding or heading a force like this?
Wasbir, let me again thank you for having me over.
Pleasure.
Now, I consider myself extremely privileged to be heading the force. And like you just mentioned, I have this great attachment with this force, having been with them for now the fourth time. This is my fourth tenure with this. Not only is it the oldest paramilitary force, it has great strengths. And one, of course, is we are Northeast centric. Northeast and we've actually grown together. We always shared a symbiotic kind of a relationship. Look at our class composition. Today we are an all India all class composition, though we still have about 29 to 30% people from the Northeast. Let's look at the officer manning. 80% of officers are from the Indian Army, 20% from the Assam Rifle cadre. Both have their strengths. Now this 80% of officers who are there, when you look at the battalion level, at the cutting edge, executive edge as you would want to call it, are officers from all arms and services. So unlike an infantry battalion where you have only officers from the infantry,
Yeah.
Here we have from the armored corps, from the artillery, from the air defense, from the engineers, from the signals. So all of them add great value to the force. And along with them you have 20% of the officers who are from the Assam Rifle cadre who've seen Assam Rifle from the time they joined as a soldier. So their experience is fabulous. So all this, when you kind of sum it up, you see the kind of great experience that we have. And then of course, besides the Northeast, we have been in the other areas also. So like I said, it's a great feeling to be heading this force.
Right. General, you see, the Assam Rifles has seen action during the 1962 war. You were posted in Sri Lanka in 1987, between 1987 and 1990 as part of the Indian peacekeeping force. Then your troops are now deployed in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, what do you think, how has been the transformation? How do you describe the transformation in the Assam Rifles over the years?
Wasbir, we have actually transformed over the years and our roles have changed from the time when we were first raised at the Kachar levy in 1835.
Yeah.
That is when it was a motley strength of just about 750 soldiers who got raised. From then to now, we have 46 battalions. And in this entire journey, we have evolved, we have transformed. Let me take you a little back in time. We were there in both the world wars. And after independence, like you said, the first major operations that came our way was the 1962 operations, conventional operations.
Yes.
In that, we were there in all the valleys of Arunachal Pradesh, whether it is from the west if you start, whether it is Tawang, Subansiri, Siom, Siang, Dibang, Lohit, all the valleys, our soldiers were at the absolute forefront and they bore the brunt of the Chinese offensive. But going back a little, from the time insurgency started in the Northeast, 55, 56, we have been jointly employed along with the Indian Army all through these years, even now. And along this journey also came the Sri Lanka thing where 3 of our battalions went and did a magnificent job. Going forward a little, in the 90s, we had 6 battalions of ours which went to J&K. And we also call this as a golden period.
Yeah.
Because for 2 reasons. We had the experience of fighting insurgency terrorism in the Northeast. So when we were there, we were the first responders who had this great experience behind us. So some of the records in anti-insurgency operations that were established by Assam Rifles then is something that has not been surpassed even now. In fact, I just got back from J&K 3-4 days back, and currently we have 2 Assam Rifle battalions there. Of them, one was there in the 90s also, and then Army Chief General Rodrigues used to call this battalion as his blue chip battalion.
Blue chip?
Blue chip.
Okay.
So they still carry that adage, blue chip battalion.
Yeah. No, sorry. When you talk about 1962, I always ask, whenever I interview any senior army official, I always ask this question, you know, year 2023 is not 1962. The Indian military establishment or the Indian military has transformed over the years and has cutting edge access to technology besides training, and we are quite capable of dealing with any threats. So how would you like to describe this year 2023 and compare it with 1962?
Yeah, surely 2023 is very different from what was there in 1962. You belong to the Northeast. You know the tremendous improvement that has taken place in the infrastructure, the efforts that are being made for the border villages. You know of the Trans-Arunachal highway that is coming.
Yes.
A similar highway is coming in Nagaland as well. Survey for that is already begun. So it has changed, it has evolved.
So very soon we will have the mobility challenges will be overcome.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now coming to the, see, every force has different types of dealing in different types of situations and terrain. Now, if I talk about the challenges of the Assam Rifles, what are the major challenges of your force? Obviously, you have challenges.
Yeah, we have a great number of challenges, and since you made a remark about the terrain, that is our one of our biggest challenges. 1,643 kilometers of the Indo-Myanmar border which we got. The terrain is predominantly jungles, thick forest. There are these rivers and streams, and it's an open border.
Right.
People call it porous, it's actually open. There is nothing that stops people from crossing across. And every year, these jungle tracks, etc., change, new tracks emerge. So one is the terrain itself, then is the lack of roads, which of course I said that things are improving now, but that challenge is still there, the communication network. Then we have the common ethnicity across borders. You would have heard of this Lungwa village in Mon, Nagaland. But that's a tourist destination, people only talk of that.
Half of the village is in Myanmar and half is in India.
Absolutely. 65% of the village is in India, 35% there. And the village chief or the Ang's house, exactly half of it is in Myanmar and half is in India. So while people talk of that, this kind of a paradigm, this kind of a thing exists everywhere else. It's there in Arunachal. You have the Noktes, Wanchos on both sides. Again in Nagaland, you have the Mons, Khaimungans, Pochoris. You come down to Manipur, you have the Tangkuls in the north. Then of course the Kuki Dzogchen people in the south. Come to Mizoram, again the Chins, Maram. So it's this common ethnicity is another challenge, because there people identify themselves with the ethnicity to which they belong. And then of course is the free move regime, which you must be aware of, where on 16 kilometers of both sides of the border, all villages free movement. And there are 830 villages on our side, just on our side 830 villages. There are no established or designated crossing points, which mean
they can cross from anywhere.
They can cross from anywhere.
Do they put their names? Suppose some villagers from Indian side wants to go up to 16 kilometers, which is permissible. Do they record their entry and exit, or they can just go in?
Wherever we are, if they cross from the areas that we are, of course they do it. But like I said, there are jungle tracks, multiple of them.
You just go in and just come out.
Just go and come out.
So that is a challenge.
That is a challenge. Now all are related actually. Then next is, because of this free movement, you also have movement of contraband, weapon smuggling, all these things also happening on both sides of the border. So these are some of the challenges that we have to face.
Now you see, we all know about the cross-border insurgents, they crisscross the border. A lot of Northeast Indian rebel groups are still in Myanmar territory, particularly in the Sagaing division, etc. Now my question to you is, which do you consider as a bigger challenge? Is it drug smuggling, or is it tackling with cross-border insurgents?
Actually, both are different tasks. that we do, yet both are interrelated. The insurgents and the nexus with the drugs that they have is existing not just here, but in so many other parts of the world, Afghanistan, or so many other places you will find. So it does exist. We are tackling both of them independently. It so happens at times there are some insurgents caught with drugs also, but by and large the carriers of the drugs are petty, carriers, and they just have to take the drug across, that kind of a task. Though there are times when we catch huge consignments also.
See, we quite frequently we carry news reports saying that so and so Assam Rifle units have caught so and so people with such and such quantity of drugs, whether it is in Mizoram, whether it is in Manipur, whether it is elsewhere. Now the big question is, are these big drug smuggling cartels there, and these are all the front people that you are capturing? Is it a serious issue? What is the quantity of drugs coming in? How do you consider the threat? And are insurgents part of these organized gangs, or they are operating separately?
Your question is actually in three parts.
Yeah.
I'll answer the one which was in between of the quantity of drugs that you've seized. So I would want to showcase something which is again not very well known. The quantity of drugs or contrabands that we've caught this year. I'm talking of contrabands, and when we say contrabands, you take it that 88 to 90% of it is drugs. So this year we've caught contraband worth 1,300 crores. Last year it was 875 crores. Year previous to that was 1,400 crores.
1,400 crores of seizures by the Assam Rifles.
Just of Assam Rifles. Just of Assam Rifles.
And which are the states where you are referring to?
Predominantly Manipur, Mizoram, and a little bit in Nagaland. But again, if you see the statistics.
So last year the Assam Rifles seized drugs worth 1,400 crore rupees.
Last to last year. Last
to
last year was 875 crores. So in the last 4 to 5 years, we have caught drugs worth almost 5,000 crores. Which is again not known.
Now you see, we have aired reports in the past saying that there are some drug manufacturing units which have come up even inside Manipur, or that means inside Indian territory. Now, so long we are aware in the public domain that in the bordering regions of Myanmar, along the border with India, they have got any number of heroin manufacturing units where they convert some of these raw materials into heroin. Now the figure was that these are coming from the Golden Triangle, a location, this and that, and now the serious part was that there were some units which were found within Indian territory in Manipur. What is the situation now? Do you have any updates?
I remember you carried a piece on this very recently, but let me be very honest with you. There are other agencies who are tackling with this, particularly the NCB, the NIA. So probably they would be in a better position to answer this.
Okay.
We are only doing the task of catching and then
now my second part of the question, whether how closely are insurgent groups involved in drug smuggling? Because whenever you put up the pressure on our side, like controlling extortion, checking extortion, because which they've not been able to extort, that means they're running dry of their funds, then drug money can be, sometimes turns out to be the only major source of their funding.
Yeah, now the context you have to see is it is not just our side of the border, even across. In Myanmar, you would be seized of the fact that there are about 35 to 38 different groups that are fighting the government. Few of them are in ceasefire, but still there are about 25 odd groups which are fighting the government. So there is an established nexus between them and the Indian insurgent groups for this side, whether we talk of the Naga militants or the VBIGs or any other alpha in the past. So they've all been involved big time in this. They have certain levels of understanding, and like I said, for their survival, they do this. They do indulge in smuggling of contraband.
We are talking about the scale of insurgency. Let's say that it has gone down over the years. But again, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act has been withdrawn from several parts of Manipur and other places in the northeast. Has it had any impact on the ground for the forces?
Well, Wasbir, I would like to tell you that decision of withdrawing Armed Forces Special Powers Act was a very conscious decision taken by the government, and it is related to the drop in insurgency levels that I spoke of. So these are interconnected. That's why, and we all know that ASPA cannot go on endlessly.
Forever.
That is how it was withdrawn, and wherever it was withdrawn, we were in good communication with the local police, and we were able to manage the situation.
Absolutely. On that note, we'll go for a short break. Don't go away. I'll be right back. I'm in conversation with Lt General P.C. Nair, the Director General of the Assam Rifles. Welcome back. I am in conversation with the Director General of the Assam Rifles, Lt General P.C. Nair. General Nair, I have to ask you a few questions on Manipur. Now, we all know that for the last almost 5 months now, on the 3rd of next month, it is going to be 5 months. About 175 people have died, 50,000 people have been uprooted from their homes, 4,000 to 5,000 houses have been burnt, about 5 lakh rounds of ammunition have been looted, about 5,000 weapons have been looted. This is a really grave situation that we have experienced in the last couple of months. But my question is related to the Assam Rifles. Now, it is something which is unprecedented, whether it is the political class or whether it is some individuals and groups. Some people say that Assam Rifles has not been playing a neutral role. There has been allegations. Is it a perception issue? Is it because they don't know the actual ground realities? They don't know the factual position? Or is it because of why is this narrative coming about that Assam Rifles is not playing a neutral role in Manipur?
I'm glad you asked me this question, because this is something I wanted to clarify. Now, to begin with, if I had to put it in one line, surmise this, I would say this is absolutely preposterous, insane and bizarre. There is really no proof of any kind to say that we are siding a particular community against the other. Now, let's see certain facts. You began the interview by asking me of our presence here for close to 190 years.
Yes.
So, in 190 years, we've been here in the Northeast, we've grown with them, Northeast has grown with us. You think something will change from 3rd of May? No. I spoke about the officers that we have. The officers we have are largely officers from the Indian Army. We carry the ethos of the Indian Army. Would we do anything different after coming to Assam Rifles? No. Look at it in a different manner. We have 30% of our troops from the Northeast. In front of them, can we be seen as siding a particular community and not siding the other? No. Look at some other places where we've helped bring down the levels of violence. Okay, let me also here tell you, one of the allegations that gets raised often was when this all started on the 3rd of May, we were just mute spectators.
That is also one of the allegations.
We did nothing. Now, these people don't understand when the situation started, the violence started. Obviously, it is a police job. And once the state feels that the police cannot handle it, that is when they requisition the army or the Assam Rifles, which happened in a matter of 24 hours.
When was the Assam Rifles requisitioned?
Yeah, we were requisitioned on the next day, that is 4th, and we were there, and we didn't wait for getting requisitioned. The moment we sensed that there is something wrong, on the 3rd of May itself, 32 columns of ours were ready to be deployed, and no sooner did we got requisitioned on 4th, they were there, and in the next 3 to 4 days, the army columns also came in, and we built up on that. So there is absolutely no logic. Let me give you some more hard facts. When all this broke out, the number of people that we saved from both communities is almost the same. The number of people who we put into safe zones, camps, is almost again the same. From one community dominated area, the minorities were lifted to the other place. So similarly, look at it a little beyond. The destruction of bunkers that we did, it's equal. The same number of bunkers of both the communities have been destroyed. Look at the weapon catch. We are going into both the villages of both communities and recovering weapons. So it's all baseless. if we are trying to do a job, and our job fundamentally is to arrest the violence that happens between both the communities. So, which is why we are there in these buffer zones along with the army. So, if we are preventing a particular group from going into the areas of the other and causing bloodshed, mayhem, can we be faulted on that? I don't think so.
Now we have also seen news reports where in the Kuki side, there were people falling at the feet of the soldiers when there was a rumor that the Assam Rifles was being withdrawn from certain places. And on the other hand, if you come to the valley, you said, oh, Assam Rifles go back. Assam Rifles should be withdrawn. On the 14th of September, a group, the representatives of one particular group went and met Defense Minister Mr. Rajnath Singh in New Delhi and said that Assam Rifles should be withdrawn. So does it impact you? Does it? Why is this demand coming? What is the problem? Are you trying to address these problems? Have you met the Chief Minister? Have you told him? Or have you met the civil society leaders?
This question is actually a takeoff from the previous question that you asked.
Yeah.
And it immediately reminds me of this famous saying of Mark Twain had once said this. It is, by the time truth wears its boots, the lie has already gone halfway around the world. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard of this.
Yes.
Of course, there are some people who say this is not what Mark Twain said, but the fact is, see the sense of the statement. And there is no better example than in this case. So, I have met not only the Chief Minister, I have met people from both communities everywhere. And no, I don't think we have been partial to any one of them. You spoke of the CEO being told and people bowing at his feet of one community. There is also a similar video of the other community where they are requesting Assam Rifle not to go. This happened in the area of 𝗧𝗔𝗟𝗞. Now, this video is also there, but it is not viral. Why? The point that you have to understand is that there is surely some move to tarnish our image for whatever reasons, well known to them, but that will not in any way deter us from doing the fundamental task for which we are here.
This move, yes. Do you think this is a systematic move? Because right from the start of the violence on the 3rd of May, right from the early part of the movement, when the violence swept the state, this Assam Rifles was the target of certain groups, people, individuals, and even people in high positions.
Why people of high positions? Because that is based on the narrations that came out. And there are so many narrations which are counter to what we are doing.
Yeah.
Some people spin doctor in a manner. In fact, both communities are doing it. They spin doctor in a manner to suit their narration, which is incorrect. And when this narrative gets repeated again and again, that is when people at large start believing it, that there is some truth in it. But I want to raise the case here by assuring the citizens of our country that for us, what is paramount is the sovereignty, integrity of Manipur, Northeast and India.
That is the moot point. That is very important. And this assurance, coming from the Director General, the Chief of the Assam Rifles, is very, very important at this critical juncture. Now, there was also, there were a lot of rumors. I'm using the word rumor. Therefore, my question will be also based on rumors, maybe. At that point of time, when the violence was at its peak, there were sections of the media, Northeast Live, of course, let me take this opportunity to tell you that we have been trying our best to be as accurate and objective as possible during the entire violence. Right at the beginning, we were not even telling which community people have died. We were just saying 5 people have died. We are not, although it's open secret who died, but we as a channel, we never mentioned. Now question is, around that time, there were a lot of reports in sections of the media saying that, there were armed militants from Myanmar, who are Myanmarese nationals who are fighting from the hills against the valley. Now, is there what is the actual reality on the ground? The exchange of fire means there has to be 2 people fighting with weapons, with guns, with bullets. So who are these people?
You heard this famous quote, one person's soldier is the other person's terrorist. So both the communities, when they start talking of the other community, they call him as terrorist. Now, in this particular case, the society is completely got weaponized, and you stated the statistics, the number of weapons that is, I think, our biggest concern. So, today you have a case where in both the communities, a person who has probably never wielded a gun before is wielding a gun.
Yes.
Alongside, surely there is a possibility that
and this has been confirmed by the state government. Recently also they gave an updated figure,
yes,
the police.
And multiple media channels have done, people have gone on ground and interacted with young kids.
They've showed the videos.
Yes, you've seen these visuals.
Yes.
But from the time this problem has started, we have also increased our guard along the borders. But you know the geography of the borders, so I won't dispute the fact that there may be instances where the people, insurgents would have come in. I don't deny that. So, while some of them would have come with weapons, but the fact is there are enough weapons today in this state itself.
Absolutely.
Which is a point of concern.
At the same time, the Assam Rifles has been doing, activities as always, extending humanitarian aid, extending logistical support to the local population, whether it is anywhere in the Northeast. Let's not talk about communities. This has been, the Assam Rifles has been known for that. How do you describe your forces, role in providing humanitarian assistance? You talked about Longwa. These are extremely remote parts. There are other parts which are as remote as that. And whenever somebody falls sick, they have to bank on the Assam Rifles, whether it is for medical aid, whether it is for sifting them, transporting them, providing. You are, in fact, in various places, you are the first responders. There are many places like that. How would you yourself describe this situation?
Now, what you're saying is again not something new. This has traditionally been the case.
Yeah.
Every time we have contributed immensely to the socio-economic growth of the northeastern states. Let's go beyond Manipur. There are one or two things that I want to bring to your notice. In the last year and a half, we started a project. We picked up bright children in Nagaland, in Manipur, 30 bright children. We put them through a course for 1 year, and in Nagaland, all the 30 children have got admissions in engineering and medical colleges. And these, mind you, these children are from very, very remote villages where there are no roads. Same is the case with Manipur. Unfortunately, this situation worsened. So, Manipur, it is about 86% of these children got through. Now, a similar project we are starting in Mizoram, where we are looking at children from Mizoram, Tripura and Silchar, this area. This is just one part of it. We are also into skill development for the youth. We are also into enabling the youth for getting recruited into the paramilitary forces and the CAPFs and army. Besides, something you would also not know is what we are doing for scenic schools. We have started again teaching children, picking up children from remote areas, putting them through a crash course. And today in Nagaland, in the last 2 years, if you see, 75% of the children who got admission in scenic school Pungwa have been trained by us. Not only are we training them, we are also in league with banks, and we are giving them loans. Not loans, actually aid, financial aid. So there is a lot more that we're doing.
Now, only for the reason of lack of time that I'm rushing through my questions. Now, coming to Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh, as we know, has no homegrown insurgency so far. But we often hear encounters between the Assam Rifles and or for that matter, the army and the insurgents. Are these only people who are crisscrossing or using the Arunachal Pradesh as a route to go into Myanmar or come back? Is it only that, or is it something else?
It's actually both. One is, of course, what you're saying, where they come in from Myanmar into Arunachal and then try to get into Digboi and certain other places in Assam where they indulge in extortion. But there is also a case where they are having an open confrontation. And here I would like to give an example of what happened in Arunachal Pradesh, Pangsao Pass, on the 4th of August last year. Now, here was a case where close to 35 of them, a big group of 35, which had the NSCN-K-YA faction, Alpha faction, and possibly some VBIGs. A group of such a big group, and they wanted to get past Pangsao Pass. Fortunately, we had some intelligence report that something like this is going to happen.
They were on way to Myanmar?
No, from Myanmar they wanted to come in.
Come in, okay.
35 of them, all armed. So there was this huge standoff fighting which happened on the 4th of August.
Last year.
Last year. Unfortunately, we only had one JCO, Junior Commissioner Officer, getting injured. But we had radio intercepts later to suggest that 3 of them were killed. So this is one kind. This year we have had similar kind of encounters at 3 different times. Once in Miao, once in Changlang, and once in Longding. And in all cases, they were trying to get in, come to India to indulge in extortion.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, you have now 46 battalions, you know, in the force, in the Assam Rifles. Now, do you have plans to raise more units, induct more youths from the Northeast?
Yes, surely. We see in times to come, this insurgency level will go down, but what will be of concern is the border guarding role. So, we have projected a case for some additional battalions, and God willing, that should come through. But besides that, there are other things, other measures also we have taken, like modernization of the force, getting certain modern weapons, modernization of the vehicles that we have, some mine protection vehicles. Then there are other things also where we are focusing, like making up the numbers of Mahila soldiers that we have, better quality of rations, such like things are being done.
Now, finally, you know, what has the violence in Manipur in the last almost 5 months taught you? You have seen a lot of action before, dealing with insurgents and all, but this is a different issue. We have seen there has been Kuki-Naga clashes in Manipur earlier. This is not the first ethnic clash that we have witnessed in Manipur. But this is something, the scale, if you look at the scale, that's why it is different, and it is going on for 5 months. Now, what has it taught you, the Assam Rifles?
You're very right. The Naga-Kuki violence which happened in the 93s, I was a witness, I was a company commander, I've been through that. And when I compare that scale to what's happening now, surely that was spread over a larger period, about almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And here we are today into the 142nd day. But the scales, like you very rightly brought out, is much huge. And the major reason for this is the false narratives that are going on. I really deter to wonder that if the same narratives and counter narratives had traveled on social media, the scales would have been even higher. So, one of the things that we've learned is the information has to be passed down correctly by whoever, the state administration, center, us, all of us have a role to play in this.
Right.
Then is the need to constantly engage with people. Talk is the only way out. This is what both the communities have to realize. And Manipur is a state which has been witness to all this.
Right. And you had said recently during an interview that the worst is behind us. What do you mean by, what did you mean by that?
Okay, I want to clarify that also. When I said the worst is behind us, the context really was what happened on the 3rd, 4th or 5th May. The huge scale that happened, I don't visualize that happening anytime, because now we have boots on ground, we have perfect coordination between multiple security forces that are there, and people have learnt by experience.
Does it include the Manipur police?
Yes, now you would have learnt of this joint operation where we caught some 4 or 5 of them.
Yes.
The jointness is improving. The synergy is improving between us.
So the worst is behind us. You'd like to say that once again?
I would want to say. I'm surely I don't foresee that kind of a situation again coming.
Absolutely.
And my prayer to the people of Manipur is that they need to scale this down. They need to come to the table to talk and sort this out.
Absolutely. On that positive note,
thank you,
General Lt Gen Nair, thank you so much
thank you
for talking to me.
Thank you.